Okay, so good morning, everybody. So this is day 70 of day 70 of compassionate response to COVID-19, which I began when the day after Boris Johnson announced no gatherings policy in the UK. So we've had all these sessions, and it's been brilliant the last couple of weeks, just kind of introducing different order members. This last series has been called Meet the Order, and a lot of my friends from West London Buddhist Centre. We've had Dharma Bandhu, we've had Sumana, we've had Stira Prava, we've had Paramanda. I've tried to introduce bits of Jnanadaya into things. He died a few years ago, and today we've got Jnanadaya, who's I worked together with in the office when Paramanda was the chairman in the early 90s. He was then Dave Ford, and I was Glenn Burton, and yeah. So it's just nice to just have a little kind of, and then we met. Jnanadaya went on a kind of bit of a big orbit and then came back again. so, so it's good to hear about people's journeys, different journeys, and just not. It's a human thing, really. It's about spiritual life. It's about sort of, we have to go on our own journeys and get, end up getting somewhere eventually. So. Yeah, so I'll be interviewing, or we'd be talking about West London early days, and also his journey and that later on. So, but before that, I'm going to do some body work and a bit of meditation. So if you want to stand up, I'll just move over into the other side of the room. Okay, so we're going to do some doing and then a little bit of qigong. So begin by drumming with your fingers on top of your head. Maybe have your knees slightly bent. And being aware of sensations in your body, of how it feels to have your clothes touching your skin. So we're looking to slow down a little bit, and wait for ourselves to kind of become aware of our body, sort of wake up to the fact that we have a body. Being aware of the sensations of the air on your skin as it touches your skin. And then just brushing away from your forehead, across your face, just gently down your body. Sometimes the more subtle the movement is, the more powerful it is, just gently stroking. And then just put your hands, put your forehead in the palms of your hands and curve your neck over. And having a sense of turning away from the world and turning inward. And allowing yourself to become aware of how you feel at the moment. So it's like you're having a rest from having to respond to the world, express anything to the world. Just enjoying your head being held by your hands. Take some deeper breaths. Give your face a bit of a wash with your hands. Just hold your hands over your face. Okay, and then rub your hands together. Backs of your hands. Up your arms. And then just cup your elbow and palm of your hand and just go over the top there, just try to get onto your spine. So with all these exercises, just being sensitive to any physical conditions that you have. Only do what you can do safely. But at the same time, if your body feels like it needs a bit more vigorous attention, then give it that. So maybe try to increase how hard you're hitting yourself on the top of your back. Because when you meditate, it'll all help. Other side. And then on your chest. Your sides. Down the outside of your left arm. And onto the back of your hand and make it a little bit painful. And then palms of your hands. And up the inside. Round again. And the other arm. Arms, your hands. And then just circling on your stomach. So doing it clockwise and listening to the sound. And then drumming lightly on the kidneys and back. And then more heavily on your buttocks and the backs of your legs. And then down your legs as far as you can go. And shake everything out. So that's the stimulating bit, the body work. Hopefully it's woken your body up a little bit. So now, good to just smooth the energy out a little bit. So just put your hands on your stomach and waiting for your breath to quieten down. When you've quietened down, and when you notice that you're breathing out, just bending your knees, and when you're breathing in, straighten your knees. So going down on the out breath, coming up on the in breath, taking your whole body down in one piece, your torso down in one piece. If you notice you're not moving at all, might be that you're a little bit stuck in your head, so just put your thoughts to one side. Maybe imagine that they're on the other side of the room, and we're just doing this physical action with our body, bending our knees as we breathe out, straightening them as we breathe in. And then putting your hands out the front, so on the in-breath, bringing your hands up to your chin, turning at the chin, going down on the out-breath, turning at the hips, coming up on the in-breath, turning at the chin, down on the out-breath, up on the in-breath. Imagining a ball of energy coming up through your spine with your hands and down. And then just next time, just keep going past your chin and opening your chest out, hands coming down by your sides, going up the middle, this ball of energy, and then it expands outwards at the top. And then one final one, just doing it a bit slower. And just standing for a minute or so. And then moving mindfully, that's slowly, without disturbing your body in any way, into your meditation posture. Okay, so we're going to do the mindfulness of breathing practice. In 4 stages for about 15 minutes. So just being aware of your body, sitting in the chair or on meditation cushions. And staying connected with any vitality that you developed in the body work, with any chi that was there, any kind of inner sort of force field or whatever that's there within you, within your energy. And becoming aware of the world outside, world of the senses. So it's like we're not trying to shut the world out when we meditate. It's more like we're being aware of the world, being aware of our senses, but then we're choosing to pay attention to particular experiences within all of that. So we're going to pay attention to our body and then to the breath. So just allowing the body to just sit there, reflecting that the body knows how to sit down. It doesn't need any help from the mind and emotions to sit down. And just balancing the spine so that the weight goes down through the skeleton into the chair, into the ground. So all we have to do is just pay attention to the angle that our body's making with the seat, so that we're not leaning over in any direction, because otherwise we'll have to hold ourselves up with tension. So if the spine is balanced, if the skeleton is balanced, then the muscles of the body can just feel confident that they can let go. And relaxation it's just like unfurling a fist. It's a physical action. There's a sense of unfurling any tension that's there in your body, and just allowing it to fall away, fall down towards the ground. So your mind and emotions don't need to be involved with your body at all. In fact, they're supported by your body, and they're free to engage with the object of the meditation. Mindfulness of breathing. So in the first stage, we just watch the sensations and movement of the breath as the breath enters and leaves the body. We breathe in, breathe out, do a silent count to ourselves, 1 in our mind. Breathe in, breathe out, count 2, and so on until we get to 10. And then we start from 1 again. We breathe in, breathe out, count 1, and so on. Whenever we get lost, we just start again from 1. second stage, we keep the same sequence of counting, but we count just before the breath begins. Count 1, breathe in, breathe out. Count 2, breathe in, breathe out. So on. So in the third stage, just letting go of the counting and just watching the breath as continuously as you can from moment to moment. So now in the fourth stage, we just watch the delicate sensations of the breath, where the breath first enters the body, around the lips or nose. Try to stay with those sensations, as delicate sensations, as much as we can. So in your own time, just bringing that meditation to a close. So there we go. Jnanadaya. So do you want to say about how you first came along to West London Buddhist Centre and when and everything?
Yeah. Um, I don't remember exactly when, but I think it was probably late 80s. Um, and I came along because of Paramananda. I'd first gone to Padmaloka, a men's retreat centre for a winter retreat, just on the fly, and then had a fantastic retreat and decided I wanted to be a Buddhist and become enlightened. And then I travelled in America, and there was an opportunity at that time to go to Vajraloka, the men's retreat centre as it was then in Wales, the meditation centre for 3 months. You could pay a lump sum and go to spend 3 months at Vajraloka.
Yeah,
And I wanted to do that, so I worked in an old people's home for a little while, and then went down to Vajraloka. And at that time, Paramananda was on a solitary retreat prior to becoming chair of West London.
yeah,
And then he joined us, and I just loved Paramananda. I sort of fell in love with Paramananda, and we became friends. And I don't know how it happened, but we sort of whether I asked or he suggested or a combination of the two. But
yeah,
after that retreat, we talked about it, and he said, "Well, why don't you come to West London and become the admin person or centre manager?"
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I did that. So I moved to West London as a result of that.
Yeah, so here's a picture of
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
you and Paramount. I don't know. This is on retreat, I don't know, sometime about 1990 or something like that. Yeah,
It's very nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'll just show some pictures of West London. So here's um, we had this Rupa, which was like Alok had made, which is like, he had a Vidal Sassoon haircut. The idea was
I
like, it was like kind
love
of
that.
modern, like Western. We'll call the Friends of the Western Buddhist Order in those days, our movement, and it was the Western Buddhist Order. So it's like the idea was to sort of try and bring Buddhism into the West in a way appropriate for Westerners. So this was an attempt by Aloka of a Western Buddha, and it's actually made out of resin, and you can just pick it up and walk off with it. I don't know what happened to that actually. It kind of got replaced at some point, but yeah, I just really liked it as an image. Um, so the centre was in Colville Houses, which is like 1 block away from Portobello Road in Notting Hill. There's Srila Prabha
Mm.
decorating the Buddha for a festival, and here's Srila Prabha as well.
Yeah, she was very, very lovely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's
Sort
like
of,
Srila
sort of
Prabha
looking
and
at that.
Paramanda were like the two kind of linchpins really of the centre, weren't they? And I came along in 1988 and to an open day, and had a 20-minute massage from Srila Prabha. Paramanda taught me meditation. I can't remember who did the other meditation. I did two meditations for 20 minutes, and that was in something like August '88, and I just thought, oh God, this is brilliant. But it was the people really. It was the people that I was attracted to. Vajradeepa was there as well, and
Mm.
I remember walking out the door after the open day and I said to him, "Oh, Carl, yeah, I really want to come back. This is great." And he went, "Well, you can if you want." It's like a kind of, so it was so relaxed, isn't it? Yeah. So I remember. So yeah. So that Paramanda went off to Vajraloka in something like, um, I think it was 89 or something. Because he
Yeah,
came back to be chair in was it late 89 or was it? I can't remember now. Yeah. Anyway, 89, 88, that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah.
mm,
So I ended up living with him in Brentford. There was a community in Brentford. Jnanadaya was there, and Stiraprabha and Sarkara, and I think everybody in that community got ordained at some point or other. And they ran a kind of gardening business. I just remember everything, kind of because they just do all these parks all the time, and just everything sort of, just a smell of dog shit because it's just kind of that's what they're going through all the time in parks. But it was like, yeah, but that community, I don't know, it kind of folded in the end, and well, no, it was because Paramanda went and lived at the Buddhist centre,
mm.
became chair, and then he sort of lived in the room in the basement in the Buddhist centre with his cat Tyson, and then yeah, the community folded, and I ended up living with Jnananda and Bodhiruchi. So
No, I
um,
didn't know that.
yeah, I
Oh,
did,
I've
yeah, for a
forgotten
year in Harlesden. Yeah,
about,
yeah,
forgotten about Tyson as well.
yeah. So there's a clip of Paramount in Jnananda about 5 years ago. Um, yeah, short clip, but those two were like, I think for me they were the main people that I identified with.
Mm.
So we used to help Paramount in the office, didn't we? So say a bit more about that, what that was like.
It was pretty hellish actually. I think yeah, I'd come from because I'd been to I come from Cambridge and public school, and I guess I was a public school boy, Cambridge graduate,
Yeah,
and Paramananda. I love Paramananda, but he was definitely not organised or interested even in being organised or tidy or systematic. He was a brilliant meditation teacher and friend and so on. But so I became more and more and more obsessive and compulsive the more he sort of didn't bother. So it became like it was definitely a very difficult time in the end where I was just becoming more and more obsessive about moving filing cabinets and things being tidy and organised, and him really not being very interested in that, and that sort of
yeah,
drove me nuts
yeah,
in the end, I think. But I do remember you. I'd guard with you sometimes, and it was an amazing centre. Like as you say, it was just off the Portobello Road, and I remember being excited about that being so near the Portobello Road, and
yeah,
um, but it was hard. It was hard work and not very glamorous. I was quite jealous. I think of Paramanda as well. So yeah, it was. And it was a bit of a dingy little office at the back, wasn't it? And
oh, yeah,
yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you want to do any more than that, but I do remember being in the backyard with you at some point and having a little argument with you about you saying, "Oh, you're being so I don't know, rigid or something, or so literal." And I probably was being very literal about something. You were being late 5 or 10 minutes or something, and I was
right,
furious about.
yeah.
Yeah, and you done a mural in the back as well,
I
hadn't
did,
you?
yeah, I did a mural. Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got a picture of the bookshop. So there was a shrine room in the bookshop, You see? Oh, can you see that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
gosh.
And I just
Mm.
remember like getting all these tapes out by Sangharakshita because I worked in a hostel for partially sighted and blind people,
Uh,
and yeah, that's how I first got into Buddhism. It was like a yeah, just devouring all these tape lectures, you know. So that was the bookshop. So in those days, it was like there were all the books were by Sangharakshita, and you know there weren't really any. Well, the first one by and not by Sangharakshita was Kamala Shila, his Buddhist, his meditation book, you know. But
there's
then
also Subhuti as well,
and
isn't there?
Subhuti,
Buddhist.
that was right. Yeah, 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 yeah. But there were books by like Thich Nhat Hanh and um, Steve
Chogyam.
Levine was popular, wasn't he? Healing into life and death, that sort of thing, you know. Yeah.
Mm.
So I've actually got. I tend to keep lots of things. So I've actually got a um, it's like the centre team meeting minutes
Oh right.
from.
Is that my handwriting there?
No, it's kind of it's typed, but it's the centre team meeting, 15th of November, 1990, and present are Sila Prabha, Paramand, me, you, um, Tom, Tom Illingworth, who became Amrita,
Oh yeah.
Jnanadaya and Steve, who became Stira Prabha,
Mm.
and we'd have these meetings, and I just remember this endless thing of like having this idea of doing something with the coal holes out the front there, you know, put doors on them, and then it would just kind of go on and on and on endlessly, never get done, you know. So yeah, I sort of sympathise. I sympathise with, you know, if you had OCD like what those bunch of artists and that, you know,
Yeah, I
wouldn't
think I
yeah.
was. I did I think I probably wrote the minutes quite often. I just kind of it was. I think, but it was pretty. I wasn't happy
Yeah,
at all. Quite angry, I think, and I don't remember the coal holes, but I do remember sort of those meetings and sort of being peripheral a little bit. You know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Wow.
Do you remember Paramount juggling with his clubs out the front of the
Oh
building?
yeah. I remember we. I think we both got into juggling at Vajraloka.
Yeah, yeah,
But so yeah. But I do. It's interesting seeing the bookshop because I've forgotten about the bookshop. It seems such a long time ago, isn't it? Such a long.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll just plug my iPad in because it's. I'll just give me a battery warning. Hang on.
Okay. I should do some sort of continuity, but I can't. I can't think of anything to say except comment on Mahabodhi's yellow cushions.
So what happened to you then? You know, like when did you leave West London?
I think I left just about. I think I lasted just under a year in the
Right.
office, and I
Yeah.
think I just became more and more unhappy. And I think I've just thought about it a little bit, but I think being on retreat with Paramananda was different to working with him. I think on retreat, I had a lot of his attention, and he was such a good friend, and then very kind to me actually. And then when we were working together, of course, he had other responsibilities and other friends and so on. So I think I found that quite hard.
Mm.
I wanted a lot of his affection and attention. And then I think I just got more and more obsessive with the role. So eventually I became quite unwell, got
Yeah.
headaches, and started losing my hair and sort of slowly drifted away. I kind of absconded a little bit from being in the office. I had a friend come over from Australia, and eventually I left and I went to live with my brother in Bethnal Green, and ended up working in the book trade in bookshops for years and years and years and years. Occasionally going to the London Buddhist Centre, but effectively sort of dropping out of the movement um, for I don't know, good 15, at least 15 years, I think, 20 years maybe, doing
Mm.
other things. I got interested in therapy. I did a therapy training, got involved in men's groups, Landmark Forum. I kind of did all sorts of things, really, just trying to find a way, I guess, in that time.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you end up kind of like coming back towards Tree Ratner?
Um, I think around my 40th birthday, I'd started to come to the London Buddhist Centre, and I'd met a couple of order members, Manjusiya and Mangala. And Mangala I'd met years ago in my West London days on retreat, and I started talking to him, and we became friends. And Manjusiya invited me to be on the team for the Friday class at the London Buddhist Centre, which is the meditation and puja class. And at that point, I was thinking that I had to commit to something, and that my heart had always really been with Sri Ratna. That whatever else I'd done, I my heart was with Sri Ratna. I sort of somehow felt a resonance, particularly with Sangharakshita as well. I think I just loved Sangharakshita's writing,
Mm.
and then these people who were very very friendly, and I also liked the London Buddhist Centre, having been at West London, which was pretty. I don't know what it was like, a Wild West town maybe,
Chaotic, yeah.
and reacting, not wanting to be part of the London Buddhist Centre. I really enjoyed the security of the London Buddhist Centre,
Yeah,
so I decided I had to commit basically to something, and that Sri Ratna was the best, that the thing that I'd loved the most and still did.
yeah,
So I thought, okay, I'll come back, and if I come back, I'll come back hook, line, and sinker.
yeah. So you teach Qi Kung at the London Buddhist Centre, don't you? Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm doing it during
Right.
lockdown. I'm not an accredited teacher, but I've been practicing for quite a long time.
Yeah,
So during lockdown, I wanted to share a bit of my practice. Um, so yeah, I'm just doing these sessions which people can join, and I really like it. Actually, I really like qigong. I like my teacher, and I like the lessons, and I love sharing it. So
yeah,
uh, yeah, so I'm doing I have a regular practice of qigong. I'm interested in that world of qi and Chinese medicine and Chinese healing.
yeah,
Uh, but I'm primarily I'm interested in the Dharma,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do you get out? What attracts you most to Qi Kung then? What is it
um,
about? Do you want to say a bit about it?
yeah, I really like the person who I go to lessons for, who actually Paramananda years ago talked about him, and he I think he'd learned Tai Chi from him.
I
So I
used to
had
do
this
Tai
idea.
Chi a lot, didn't he, Paramander?
He
Yeah,
did do a lot of Tai Chi at that time, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe he still does. Um, so then I had an opportunity to actually have classes with him, which I never thought I'd be able to. And
mm,
I really like him. He's very, I don't know, there's something about him that's lovely, very, very kind of
yeah.
funny and generous and
What's
warm.
his
And
name?
Master Lam Kam
Right.
Chuen,
Okay. Yeah.
Chuen, Master Lam.
Yeah.
Um, So I partly it's just loving going to be in classes with him, thinking this is a fantastic opportunity to
Yeah.
be in the class with someone like that. And then I like the energy. I definitely feel the benefits of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it's simple.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he talks a lot about you can just do it and watch television or listen to music, or so not be too heady around it.
Yeah. 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 Well, I was sharing a room with you, wasn't I, last year on retreat at
Yeah,
Pamaloka, and you doing it quite a lot, and I just found it really uh, inspiring. That you just kept doing it, body work, and like felt like you were almost doing it continuously in some way or other.
all right.
You know.
But you can do, I do try and do it quite a lot. I
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
particularly on retreat. It's a good opportunity to do it. It was
Yeah.
very nice to have a room with you actually, just to say, like, it was so, because I when I went away, I was away for quite a long time, and then eventually became ordained, and then going to an order meeting and seeing all these guys from West London, seeing Mahabodhi and Amrita as well. It was so lovely to
Yeah. yeah,
to reconnect with that part of my life. I mean, with you guys, kind of. So very nice to be sharing a room with you on retreat again.
yeah, yeah,
It's it's a funny thing to reconnect with old friends and
yeah,
my youth in a way,
yeah, yeah,
which I forget about so easily.
yeah, 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 yeah. So what do you see? You live in a community in at the LBC, is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So there's some. I live in one of the men's communities around the London Buddhist Centre, and I work. I'm currently the caretaker. Um, so yeah. So lockdown's been particularly intense in the in the community. So there's
right, yeah,
12 of us.
12. Yeah,
We've been just with each other for however many weeks it is now, and it's pretty. It can be quite hard going. I find it like I'm quite. I guess I'm quite sensitive. I like my own space, and
yeah,
so it's like it's being with 11 other guys is quite tough. But it's also lovely too.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, but yes, I think the London Buddhist Centre is a really supportive place to be. So I'm glad to be here.
yeah, yeah,
It's very I do find it challenging though as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it feels like you found your. It feels like you found your thing in in qigong and all that, and that in a way that kind of helps you be a part of something when you've got your own thing.
Oh yeah, maybe at the moment it sort of feels like I've got a little niche here, but I'd like to be a bit more involved with the mainline teaching of the Dharma here,
Yeah,
which I think means I've still got a little bit of work to do. I think on myself, or just making sure that I do enough study and engage
yeah,
slightly differently to how I do. But the qigong is something that I love.
yeah,
I really love it. So
yeah. So you got ordained. When was it?
2017, May the 1st.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you're in that kind of after ordination phase where you kind of like in a way sort of just finding out about what it's all what it's like being an order member and you know
Yeah, I guess I am. I guess I'm sort of rattling around in a jar or something at the moment. Some kind of sort of occasionally slamming myself against the sides of it, trying to find a way out or something.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah, it's interesting to think I've been around a long time, but ordained not very long.
yeah,
Uh, so lots of work to do. I'm kind of very aware of my shortcomings at the moment.
yeah,
Maybe lockdown sort of highlights those a little bit more.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah. But the whole ordination thing. It's like um, uh, it's just a massive mystery, isn't it? It's like you get ordained, and then it's like this space opens up. You're an order member, and then what do we do now? Like and you could do anything really,
mm,
but what people are advised is to sort of not kind of rush into responsibilities too quickly or whatever, and just sort of just settle into it. The whole thing of being ordained and
mm.
whatever that might mean, it's like is that how you feel about it? It's like you're adjusting and
Yeah, I think it's good that you say that to remind me. I think I'm quite ambitious, really. I get quite jealous of peers of mine who are doing more than I'm doing, which is quite painful.
yeah,
But I'm also I was struck with how ordination had always seemed such a huge thing to me, like impossibly huge. And then once I was ordained, I did think, well, what was the big fuss about? Why did I think it was such? Why did I think it was so impossible? Because I guess once you're ordained, suddenly you're there. I was an order member, and and then so there was that thinking, oh no, I'm not substantially different from how I was before. I've taken a particular step.
yeah,
I'm not, I'm definitely not perfect by any means, or not even decent sometimes. but I'm ordained, and then I did find that opportunities, doors opened for me that had been closed before as a mitra or a friend. That
Yeah.
people were asking me to do things, to lead classes, or to do days and be on retreat teams in a different way, and that was so nice. It did
Yeah.
feel like suddenly I was being invited to step into something. So it allowed me. I think I'm also quite shy and tend to hang back. It allowed me to step forward a bit and to express myself in a way that I'd always been kind of reluctant to do before. I'd sort of sit back and feel resentful.
Yeah.
So, but then I had people inviting me to do things, and that was wonderful. Particularly after the ordination retreat, because I was quite fired up and had things to say or things I wanted to share.
Yeah.
It's become a bit more difficult, I think, in the last few years, and just finding my place, like finding my voice, or um, like who am I? What do I want? You know,
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
still, still going on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been ordained 22 years, and
Wow.
it it sort of feels like there's still some sort of element of that, like who am I, or
Yeah.
what, because it is about, in a way, it is about, you get this name, don't you? So, what does your name mean,
My
Jnanadaya?
name means he whose kindness is wise.
Yeah, and mine means great enlightenment, Mahabodhi. So we get these names, and they're like kind of they're not descriptions, are they? Of how we are. They're more reminders of what we might become like. There's an element of what we like, isn't there? And there's an element of
Yeah.
where we're heading, or where we're trying to head to. So mine's like Maha is often associated with like lots of people, like Mahayana Buddhism. So I'm a bit of a populist, hence doing these sessions. But the Bodhi bit is the elusive bit, you know. So how do you see your name? The Jnanadaya.
Uh, well, firstly, I really like the jnana bit. I think when I was attracted to Buddhism, I was attracted to the Buddha. In fact, I was attracted to the Buddha because he was both kind and wise. In fact, so that was maybe my attraction to Buddhism was those two qualities of the Buddha, and maybe
Yeah,
that's partly why I was given the name, because those qualities mean quite a lot to me. So, um, yeah, I've always aspired to be wise. I've always wanted to be wise for egotistical reasons as much as anything else. I want to be wise, and
yeah,
I want people to think I'm wise.
yeah,
So I've pursued wisdom, I think, and actually a particular type of wisdom, not sort of learning wisdom, but wisdom of the heart or wisdom of the
yeah,
body
yeah,
or the soul.
yeah,
And then the daya, the kind bit, I feel a bit ambivalent about it because I can be a bit nice. I really don't like it. Um, but I guess it is a very good quality, isn't it? Kindness. It can be translated as compassion, which I would have preferred, but kindness was what I was given it was translated as. And then I was also told by it was Maitreya Bandhu who ordained me that it's a koan for me. So
yeah,
I think I was talking a lot about how I found it very hard to be both kind and wise. That I could be kind, but then I could slip into being a bit nice, or I could be wise. I could be like kind of on the ball, but actually a bit sharp with it, a little bit, maybe a
yeah,
bit like I was that time with you in that garden at Coldwell Houses. That there was some truth to it, but not very kindly
yeah, yeah,
expressed. So it was like, so he's saying, well, your challenge, mate, is to be.
yeah,
No, I don't think he was saying that.
yeah,
It's to really try to integrate those two,
yeah,
and that I feel really excited by. I've always loved these characters who are both wise and kind. Who
yeah,
can be.
yeah,
That there's a story about, I think, a Zen teacher in America who, a woman went to see him and she had cancer, and she said, "I'm dying," and he said something. Well, we're all dying, which sounds a bit trite as I express it, but there's just something about not coming up with a platitude, but coming up with something that is genuinely helpful because it's based on the truth, and but still done in a kindly way or with
hmm,
compassion. Um, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I really like the Jnanadaya bit. Is something I'm kind of I prefer something maybe a bit more kind of heroic. You know?
Yeah. So, like Qi Kung, it's kind of comes from the same system as like shiatsu and acupuncture and all that, doesn't it? It's like sort of Japanese and
Yeah, I don't. It's Chinese, and my teacher doesn't actually. He doesn't actually talk a lot about the origins or the mechanics of it. Really, he's more like do it, and I'm more of a disciple who will say, okay, I'll just do it, and so I've got quite a few of his books, and I've been reading, dipping into them. So, but I don't really know too much about the theory.
yeah,
I haven't been told, and partly because I'm not so interested. I'm more interested in
yeah,
just doing it. Really.
yeah,
Maybe in time, but yeah. So I don't
yeah,
really know.
yeah.
But it's, yeah,
I mean, what I meant was, it's like it's in the same system as like yin and yang, isn't it? That
yeah,
sort of thing. So it's a bit
yeah.
like what you're saying about your name is a bit like that, isn't it? It's sort of this.
Mm.
You've got this kind of yin and yang side. How do you fit two things together that maybe want to go in different directions or something like that? So
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
very
sense I
good.
get of you, that you've over the years you've discovered something which is a bit more in harmony,
Right.
through Qi Kung and other thing. So yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that's it.
that's interesting. I guess there is that sort of conflict that I've had, always had, probably, and still do. I'm still wrestling with is marrying those two sides of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
We just got a message here from Padmapani saying, "I have to leave and get on with my tanker painting. Bye." So we had Padmapani like a couple of weeks ago,
Oh
showing
right, okay.
showing us his tanker he's painting for Butterfield and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I'm
nice.
glad you dropped in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks very
Mm.
much, and I think we've explored West London a little bit and the reality of it, and so
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
It's very nice to see those pictures and to remember
yeah, yeah,
remember those times. Of course, yeah, very particular times for me, and
yeah.
yeah.
There is something I want you to play, but I've not managed to fit it in. So
Okay.
maybe we could end with that. It's just me talking with Jnananda. So
Mm.
it's a kind of recording of Jnananda's voice. So you know, Jnananda's often been compared to, well, he's a bit like Hugh Grant. but
Very charming,
uh,
very charming man.
yeah. So I just love it. I just love his whole personality, his voice, and everything. So we'll just listen to this, and then we'll end it. So here we go.
Like,
Mindfulness, it brings to mind what's skillful and
So we're in
unskillful.
conversation
Yeah.
about
So it's a bit like
mindfulness.
you bring mindfulness to the different conditions of your experience,
Yeah.
which consists of your experience. Your total experience consists of the four foundations of mindfulness: body, feelings, mind, which includes the emotions, and views.
Right.
So if they're what cause happiness or suffering, or the sources of it, it's not outside of the human,
Yeah.
experience.
Well,
So
no. See, I mean, a lot of people would say that what causes happiness and suffering is very much conditioned by external factors. When you lose what is dear to you,
yeah,
right, then you suffer. Now, what you're saying is, when you lose what is dear to you, you suffer. But actually, what you're saying is that what actually makes you suffer is your attachment, right, to what's dear. That is actually the Buddhist position, isn't it?
yeah.
Which is a tricky one to push, isn't it, in today's world?
Yeah,
The idea that that this is a kind of practical solution to suffering for normal human beings. That the aim is to be free from attachment, if you've got children, and if you read the Dhammapada, he says, attachment to cattle and children and so on is what causes suffering. Now, I'm just wondering, how do you push that up? Where are we going to place ourselves? Are we going to go, or is your position the pure Buddha's position of the Dhammapada, which is, your suffering is not caused by.
Anyway, it gives you a sense of Jnanadaya, that.
Very good.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to hear more of that, actually. I thought it was very... Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll send you the recordings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So me and him kind of got together a bit. He wanted to help me finish my book off. And so I would come down to London and we'd meet up for a couple of hours. And it was just completely delightful just to spend a couple of hours with him. And, we never did get my book finished. It's still...
You've got to finish your book.
I know. Well, I've in these talks, in these sessions, I've got all the ideas out basically now. So I'm doing a Jordan Peterson. It's like YouTube's the new Gutenberg. It's like the new printing press. So
no, you've got to finish it.
So I have. It's out there, but I will do. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But that's it's been really nice getting together.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to be on there. It's been lovely to connect with you again and to talk about West London and to remember some things and to see those photographs. That's quite something. So I love copies of those as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really appreciate you inviting me. It's very nice to be in touch with you again.
Yeah. The things you can do in lockdown, you can do stuff, can't you?
Yeah. You can connect, can't you?
You can connect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good. All right then.
See you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.